Nearly half of African-American families have no emergency savings fund. This is according to a new survey by Neighbor Works America. The alarming statistic raised a lot of eyebrows on Black Enterprise's Facebook page. Richard writes, "You can't save extra if you don't have extra." But Lisa writes, "It's not hard to save, just don't live beyond your means." And while it's not just the Black community that's having trouble saving, according to the study, the number of Americans in general that have no emergency savings is up 5% from 2014 to a total of 34%. So it's certainly an issue faced by an alarming number of African Americans in particular. And I'm joined now by three people that know a lot about money, how to handle it wisely. TIAA-CREF financial advisor Joe Wilson is here, along with Frederick Goodall and Joyce. I know you're from mommytalkshow.com. You have a show over there. Gentlemen and lady, I want to start with you, Joe. Why do you think that this issue is something that seems to be facing the African American community in a disproportionate amount?
Yeah, well, I think what I'm finding when I'm working with clients is that a lot of people are digging themselves out of the financial rut that they found themselves in when it came to the Great Recession. And I think it really underscores the reason why it's that much more important for you to have an emergency fund. The thing that I share with people all the time is that something is better than nothing, right? Because a lot of times they say, well, what if I only am able to put away $100 over a course of 6 months and now I have to replace my tires for $500? Well, I promise you, if I walk up to your home with a check for $100, you're not going to turn me away. You'll say, give it to me anyways. I'll figure out the other $400. All right, so it's important.
Now, Frederick, you're from mochadad.com. Frederick Goodall, I want to ask you, financial role models is something that you talk a lot about, and how that affected you in your upbringing, how important you think that is to resolving this matter.
Yeah, I think that's incredibly important. If you don't have people who can show you how to save money, how to budget, and how to take care of your finances, it's hard to be able to build up a slush fund. No, for me, the day I started my first job, after my boss told me about the job, got me settled into my office, he took me directly into his office, showed me how to set up my 401k, explained to me the importance of saving money, the importance of compound interest, the importance of saving for a rainy day. And that just had a huge impact on me. It taught me so much from that very small moment that he decided to invest in me.
Yeah, Frederick,
so that's
I would say
that we really need to do to make sure that we have a legacy of wealth for future generations.
I would say, though, that is an exception and not the rule. Most bosses will not go out of their way to do things like that. And obviously, the school systems, you know, I was talking with some of my producers earlier about how in school, and I went to a good public school, some of them have gone to private schools, financial education is not something that happens naturally. Joyce, you have a 5-year-old who is already saving. Talk to me about your approach to financial education and how you've managed to take matters into your own hands.
Well, like you said, our son is 5, and he has determined that he is going to buy his first car when he is 16. So he gets a $1 a week allowance that he sets aside, and he does not spend it. And we just opened him his own savings account, and he has been tracking it and knows that that money is set aside. He has the restraint already at 5 to say, I have a long-term goal. I'm not going to spend this money. And just like Fred, when I got my first job when I was 14 years old, my mom told me, okay, you have 80% that you can spend for yourself, 10% you save, and 10% you give to church. And unfortunately, a lot of people feel like they can't, make that budget. But once you do and you have an emergency, you have something to go to. Just this week, just today, I got my car out of the shop. That was $400. Our 5-year-old has been sick for 3 weeks. We've been paying co-pays of almost $200. If we didn't have that money and had to rely on credit cards, we would have really been digging ourselves deeper into debt. But thankfully, we were able to pay for that.
And Joyce, I want to go to a Facebook comment from Tony, who writes, "This is nothing new. Many people are living paycheck to paycheck." So, Joe, what advice do you give people who are in those circumstances and not necessarily living beyond their means? What's something that they can do right now, right here, today, to get on that track?
Yeah, I would say be fun, be creative, and what I mean by that is I don't believe it has to be an either-or kind of scenario. Either you go out to eat or you put money away in savings. Utilize some daily deal sites, see what kind of venture you can get into that way. And I think that's a really good way of approaching it, and I think you can really free up some money that way.
Frederick, I want to ask you, because you mentioned that your boss took you aside. When you were growing up, did your parents or did your school system offer you any of those tools prior to that moment that you had with that boss that helped get your mindset right? Financially?
Well, my mother was a single mom, so she didn't have a lot of money while we were growing up. but she saved every penny and she was very diligent about every single thing that she did. So watching her budget and scrimp and make a way for us really taught me the value of money and how to save, because she didn't buy me anything extra. I always had to save the money and buy it myself. So that really had a strong foundation in my life and taught me just the value of money and what I needed to do to save it and secure it.
Well, I want to thank all three of you for joining us today. Plenty of wonderful insights. Joe Wilson, Frederick Goodall, Joyce Brewer. We'll look forward to having you on again soon.
Thank
Yasmin,
you.
I got to confess that when I was growing up, I didn't get that sort of financial education. Did you?
You know, I didn't, and I really wish that I had. I think teaching kids the value of money is wildly important for their future. So I'm happy that you guys were having that conversation.